you need to give me a rousing Lane College hand. Because I earned it. I started out yesterday from my home in Atlanta, Georgia at 2 p.m. I went to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. I got on 2 different airplanes, sat on that tarmac for 3 hours, timed out with the crew, turned back around, went back to the terminal, got a new crew. At midnight, I checked into a hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, got a good night's sleep, grits in the morning, and look where I am right now. I'm here in Jackson with a mayor, with 2 mayors. Not satisfied with just one. County mayor and a city mayor. Here in wonderful Jackson, Tennessee. And I want to thank both Miss UNCF and, are you Mr. UNCF or are you Mr. Lane, for their remarks, and particularly got to express deep appreciation for that persistence, because I believe I'm persistent and determined and tenacious about being here with you today and being here with my friend, your president, President Comer. Let's give him another big hand, too. Now, I know he's the interim president, and I don't get involved in presidential politics at any level. But I will tell you that I know a dynamic leader when I meet one. Now, people say they want change agents until they start making change. Because change is disruptive. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's painful. But you know, no pain, no gain. And I just think Lane College and Jackson are crying out for recognition, for the opportunity to develop even more, to do good work and make it great work, to be a center, an urban center closely associated with an academic institution, making this a land of opportunity. And I believe that Lane and Jackson are meant for great things with great leaders. Give them all a hand. So greetings to all of you today, my dear brothers and sisters. I come before you with deep humility, well, some humility, not deep humility. But I feel the great honor of standing on this historic and beautiful campus of Lane College. I want to thank President Comer for your presentation of me. I want to thank the mayor for my introduction, because he gave you the full introduction. Mayor, you can just go around with me around the country. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity to address this incredible community. I also want to recognize the distinguished members of Lane's leadership, led by Bishop Marvin Frank Thomas Sr., who is the chair of the Board of Trustees. And my team sent me all the bios of the trustees. And I'm going to tell you, you've got an incredible wealth of wisdom, experience, and faith who are going to continue to work for this in behalf of this wonderful institution. So I want to thank all of them for the service that they provide. Let's give them a hand too. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the mayors. It's an honor to be here in the presence of so many young, bright minds, full of potential and promise. And what a reminder that this is of the importance of institutions like Lane College. HBCUs that stand as pillars of education, empowerment, and progress for all people. For all people. Lane College, founded in 1882 by the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church, now the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. And Trustee Crutchfield I think it was you who was telling me that 12 years after the founding of that denomination, this institution rose. And people say, well, why did we build so many colleges? We built colleges because emancipated former slaves wanted education so they could read the Bible themselves, interpret the Bible for themselves. And they wanted to be prepared for citizenship. And they knew that literacy, education, foundation stones for being good Christians and being good citizens. So wherever they built a church, they built a school. And wherever they built many churches, they built colleges and universities. And just about all 101 of the historically black private historically black colleges that remain today have their roots in church denomination. What a firm foundation for education. We know that this is a place where dreams are nurtured and futures are shaped. And we gather today, and as we gather today, we celebrate the strides that Lane College continues to make, including, because I'm a fundraiser, the incredible 20% increase in gifts and supports to this institution. So we know that this interim president, he's out there with his tin cup, always working. And you know, this campus looking really sharp. And he's making changes and he's bringing resources, and just watch out because he's just begun. This is a time to recognize the leadership that has propelled Lane College forward. I know that President Comer is going to do a great job. I'm going to rest my case on that one. And I want to make a special shout out to somebody we don't often talk about, and that's faculty. We got faculty here? We got faculty here? All right. You are the foundation of any learning community. And I know your commitment, and I know how hard you work, because for 20 years, starting in 1969, when I was an instructor of English at Morehouse College, teaching 4 sections of English composition with 25 students in each section, making $6,200 a year. I know how hard this faculty works. Faculty, do you work hard? Yes. Teaching faculty. Not always appreciated. You know, UNCF, we give a lot of scholarship support. My newest project is I'm going to be giving faculty support. Faculty support. Because I know when I go to these graduations and these students walk across the stage, they always give a shout out to the faculty who brought them to where they are. So I think we should give a big hand for the faculty of Lane College. You are the shapers and the molders of our most precious constituents, our students. Finally, students, I can't quite remember your pain, because it's been a minute since I was one, but you know, I'm a grandfather. And I have my oldest grandson. He loves Morehouse College so much, he's decided to stay there 5 years. I want you to pray for him, church. I told that boy, I said, you know, this is the last tuition Gan is going to send in. But he had a rough time because he was one of those students who started during the pandemic. Didn't have a high school graduation. Didn't have much of a freshman year. But I watch how he is being shaped and molded. He's got a younger sister. She's a junior at Howard, and she's going to finish in 4 years. But she's a girl. What do you want? I mean, they just get it. Guys, we slow. But she's just moving. But I watch both of them. And I have the blessing to be able to see them emerging as full adults. So I know that this isn't just a time of physical growing, this is a time of emotional and intellectual growing. And you don't even know how much you are being shaped by this environment. It's a small community, it's a nurturing and supportive community, fine faculty, concerned administrators, hardworking, well-organized. These are precious years that you have. And I hope you're going to wring everything you can out of them. So today I want to affirm the entire Lane community. And I want you to know, Lane, that you can count on continued support from the United Negro College Fund. We got your back. As we have had for 80 years, and we will continue to invest in your dreams, your aspirations, and your successes. You know, in times of challenge and adversity, the importance of standing together becomes even clearer. During the devastating COVID-19 pandemic, UNCF fought for the resources that Lane College needed to continue serving its students. Through advocacy before the Congress and both the Trump and the Biden administrations, we were able to secure over $5 million in additional federal funding for Lane College. These funds helped to pay off millions in student debt, supported summer school tuition, and provided emergency financial aid to help students stay on their academic path. And the struggle was real. But together we overcame, and that is what we do, stand together. The work we are doing through UNCF's current $1 billion capital campaign to grow endowments for historically black colleges and universities is just another chapter in the ongoing journey. We are investing in your future. And Lane College, we know that in that $1 billion, there's going to be a $370 million pooled endowment. Each of our 37 institutions is going to have a $10 million stake in that pooled endowment. That money is going to go in there, and that endowment is going to be a locked box. You can't take the corpus, the foundation of it out, but every year, you'll get 4% spend, which when we have that full $10 million in there for Lane, that'll be $400,000 additional dollars in the beginning. And as that corpus grows through strong investment, that $400,000 will become $500,000, then $600,000, then $700,000. And this year, because you got $2.7 million already in there, you're going to get your first $114,000 earning this coming year. The first. And every one of our 37 HBCUs is going to get the same thing. Not some amount for some and another amount for others. Everybody's equal, and everybody's going to get it. And when the president or whoever was asked, for the UNCF scholars who are here, one of the things people don't realize is just how much scholarship money we send out every year. But one of my favorite sources of support is the $108,000 we've been sending to Lane every year, as well as to 34 of our other institutions, so that they get their share of a $40 million gift that we got from Patty Quillen and her husband, Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix. $40 million. And they said, Lomax, you can use that any way you want. And I said, well, why don't we just, every year, give 35 of our institutions a split, an equal split in $4 million. And we send that block grant over here, and you make the decision about what student needs an extra $2,000 or $3,000 to stay in college. And I know students, sometimes $2,000, sometimes $1,000 can be the difference between being a student and not being a student. So we try to do everything we can to get that money directly to you. And the great news is we're going to raise $5 million of that $10 million, and then we're going to work with President Comer and his team to match it. So each of you will have $10 million. But it won't be just money that somebody gave you. It's going to be money that you raised yourself, and you help to strengthen your development operation to be more effective. And while we're going around, I'm going to go around knocking on those doors in Jackson and in Memphis with your president. We're going to be saying, we would like that $5 million, but we have some other current use needs here at the Lane College. And we would like not just we want a couple more zeros. We want a couple more zeros on those gifts that you're making. We want you to treat us like you do some of these other schools that aren't HBCU. So we're going to knock on those doors, and we're going to get a little insistent in a very nice way. And you know why we can do that? Because HBCUs are important. And as the mayors will tell you, HBCUs are economic engines as well as educational institutions. Not only for our communities, but for the nation. UNCF's most recent report shows that HBCUs have a total national economic impact every year of $16.4 billion. They have over 163,000 employees. Lane College, right here in Jackson, Tennessee, generates $34 million in economic impact for its local and regional economies. And the 2021 graduating class, the last one we will have numbers on, those graduates will earn an additional $350 million over their lifetime collectively because they got a Lane College degree. Because what we know is that when you get a high school diploma and you add on top of that a college diploma, you're going to earn, on average, $1 million a year more than if you had stopped with that high school diploma. The numbers speak for themselves, but beyond numbers, let's remember the real significance for the students who walk these halls, for the families they come from, and for the communities they uplift. Lane College and all HBCUs are not just schools, they are lifelines. They are opportunity lines. They are transformation lines. You get one college graduate in a family, and they're going to pull up and lift up and the rest of that family, and they won't be the last. As we gather today, we also reflect not just on the economic impact. We reflect on the life and the legacy of one who went before us, of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This past weekend, we observed what would be his 96th birthday. Hard to believe. He lived to be 39? 39. Dr. King's vision of justice, of love and equality continues to resonate today as strong as ever. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. King in my family's home in Los Angeles, California in 1958 when I was 11 years old. My mom was a journalist. We owned a small weekly newspaper in Los Angeles, and she decided that the bus boycott was the story of her lifetime, and I never knew why. But as I learned more about her grandmother, her paternal grandmother, who was from Montgomery, Alabama, and had been a domestic worker all her life in Chicago, I knew why. Because those women of Montgomery, those domestic workers, they were revolutionaries because they were changing the world. But when I was 11 years old, he came to Los Angeles, and my mother invited him to come by and have cake and ice cream while she interviewed me. And so her 6 children were sitting around on the floor in the living room quietly for a change, listening to him. It was a January morning, uncharacteristically cold in Los Angeles. And I drove with my mother over to the Watkins Hotel, and there was a young man in a very nasty, that means cool, look good, winter coat and a hat. smoking a cigarette outside the Watkins Hotel. And we picked up that young man and brought him to the house. And he had a way with children like any good minister would. But when they got down to their interview, we were silent and we watched. Beginning in 1964, when I entered Morehouse College, I had the opportunity to march with Dr. King in Atlanta. Demonstrations to help desegregate lunch counters. There was still one, Leb's, a delicatessen that wasn't integrated. When they wouldn't seat Julian Bond in the Georgia General Assembly, Dr. King came over to the campus. He gave a talk in front of the library. He assembled all the students, and we marched from that library downtown to the state capitol, walked around it. All the legislators came out to see what was going on, and walked back to the campus. That was 1965. But in 1968, we had another march from the campus, much bigger, to the state capitol. A silent march in April, after Dr. King had been assassinated in Memphis. And we marched silently, not just in the hundreds, but in the thousands, back to that state capitol and back to the campus. And I had the honor to be, as all of the students did, one of the people who worked in helping to make that funeral happen. There were students who sang in the Glee Club. There were alphas who, like Dr. King, who was an alpha, and they pulled the caisson on which his casket was laid. And there were so many really important guests who came to that campus. And one of my jobs was to escort people through the back gates of Spelman College into the back door of Sisters Chapel, where Dr. King's body lay in state in an open casket. Now just think about it, students. 1968. The victim of an assassination. This would be like being there at Abraham Lincoln's last services. And I remember escorting Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, great actors, husband and wife, but longtime friends of Dr. King, and standing with them as they looked down into that casket at the earthly remains of that 39-year-old martyr, and silently wept and prayed. And I'm going to tell you, students, that I made a pledge standing near them that I would live my life differently and try to do whatever I could to honor, through my service, his sacrifice. You don't have the privilege that I had, but you can read his words. And his words continue to inspire me and all of us as we do our work at UNCF in behalf of HBCUs and you, the students of this generation. So I want to close my remarks with a quote. Dr. King, in his speech titled, "What's Your Life's Blueprint?" Dr. King challenged us to live with purpose, integrity, and a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. He said, and I quote, "Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, and the unborn couldn't do it better." End quote. I want to leave you with these words, students of Lane College. As you move forward in your academic journey, remember that your life has purpose. You are here because of the sacrifices made by those who came before you, and you have the power to shape the future for those who will follow. Do the work. Do the work. Do it with excellence. Strive for greatness. And above all else, do it with passion. So this is not a message of hope. Brothers and sisters, this is a call to action. And you got to do it with determination and persistence, because there will be obstacles in your way. The work we do at UNCF is about more than just fundraising. It is about changing the lives, empowering communities, and advancing justice. We fight for your education because we know that education is the key to unlocking potential and transforming society. We fight for Lane College because we believe in your future. We fight for every student because you represent the future of our nation. As I close, I challenge each of you, students, to take full advantage of the opportunities before you. Work hard. I'm telling you, hard work is hard because it's important. If it's easy, it's not hard work. Stay focused. Never forget that the fight for your future is a fight worth being engaged in. Stick to it. Be determined. Persist. Don't let anybody stop you. Let's continue to honor Dr. King's legacy by building a world where justice, love, and opportunity reign. And remember, we stand together. We are more than a moment. We are more than a monument. We are a movement. So thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.